Hi, I'm Scott Hall, psychic medium. I'm here with my friend Lee Morgan, also a psychic medium. And really, you concentrate more on mediumship. Is that correct?
I mean, I would say that's how I started. I don't know that that's the realistic way I'm booked now. So I'd say now the way people book me is probably half and half.
Half and half.
Yeah.
And you're doing life, past life.
I also do past life regression. So I do mediumship readings, intuitive guidance readings, and past life regression sessions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've known each other a while. I met Lee through Janet Raftis, my partner.
It's true.
And so she's hilarious, especially when she does. I just love when you do your group readings.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I
mean,
took you to one, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You invited me, yes.
Oh, thank you for coming. I think you also helped because
Yeah,
I think you kept time.
Yes, I kept asking her, and she was like, "Well, I only have room for one," and I was like, "Please let it be me, let it be me."
Yeah.
But those are so fun. Well, how do you know, like, when you do that? So what happened? We were in a small studio setting, and there were like 20 people. That was something like that, or
Yeah,
maybe 15,
20 or 15 or 20, yeah.
Yeah, and how do you know who's coming in for it? So you speak to people who are deceased.
Yep.
And they come in, and how do you know which person it's for?
That's a good question. So it's not the same every time. So sometimes they will just come in and start giving me identifying things about who they are, the deceased person. Like, I'm male and I'm a grandfather and I had a heart attack and I have white hair and I had a cane. And I will have to ask the audience to start listening amongst themselves about who it might apply to. And then from those people, if they're participating, because it's harder than it seems to kind of throw your hand up at a group reading and say that could be my grandfather.
Right.
So I try to be really loving and encourage people, like, it's okay. So let's say 3 people put their hand up. Sometimes spirit immediately will lead me to the one of the 3. Like, they'll just tell me it's that one. Or we'll have to kind of keep going with some characteristics. And then on the off occasion, I will get somebody come through and I will immediately know who in the room they're for. But it's because it's the first thing they tell me. I say tell me, but please know.
Like, what will they say?
It's more like
The lady in the pink, or what?
I wish it were that simple. And you know this as well as I do, that we often use words with what we do, like see and hear, when actually I'm feeling or knowing. So I want to try to be as clear as I can with it. It's usually clear cognizance, which means I suddenly know
you just know
who it's for.
Right.
And that's like, I don't know.
Do you get because when I get a big yes from spirit, as you know, I call it getting lit up, and I get chills and goosebumps. Do you get that? Like, does spirit say, "Oh, that's the one"? Like, a woman talks and says, "That's mine." Do you get lit up? Do you feel something in your body, or is it just a knowing?
Both. Goes back and forth. Sometimes I'll get chills all over. I tend to get chills more when a message is dead on, because as you also know, a lot of translating messages from spirit is a lot like charades. It's not necessarily word for word, or if it's a feeling or a knowing, it's translating through my vocabulary and my experiences.
And charades, by the way, when a group mediumship with Lee Morgan is like charades. It looks like charades because she's up there.
I stand up
with her lanky body doing these fun things and explaining
I walk
with
funny
her.
ways and I do hand signals and yeah, I do. So it's a lot like charades. So when I translate a message that they're trying to give me through hand signals and feelings and knowings and words and images, and I get it dead on, that's when I get chills.
Okay, I gotcha.
More about people identifying. It's more like a clear cognizant moment. Like, I know it's you.
Okay, now here's the thing that people ask a lot.
Yeah.
They say, because Janet and I do home clearings.
Yes.
And we deal with ghosts.
Yes.
Right? And then, are you dealing with ghosts?
No.
Explain.
Okay.
What, it's a dead person is not a ghost?
No, I mean, there are lots of dead people, but they're not all in the same place.
Why not?
And I say that very liberally because I don't know place is kind of like such a human word for it. They're not all in the same frequency or dimension or something like that. So because some have, and please note, this is, whenever we answer things like this, I like to tell the audience, this is conjecture from what I've experienced from spirit, what Scott's
We don't know what heaven's like. Is that what you're trying to say?
I've not been there. I'm alive. So, and from like people I trust. Okay. So it's like a conglomerate answer from all the things I've ever heard that seem to make sense. So some people have crossed over into what we would call heaven or nirvana or spirit world or the place you want to go, right? It's where everything's healed and you're content and happy and cool and you see all your loved ones and you can visit here and whatever. Those people are the ones I talk to in mediumship readings.
Okay, so they have moved on. Crossed over. We use sometimes.
Yeah. So ghosts, I use the term earthbound spirits for ghosts. So I think that may be more common in our trade than it is with the public. But what that means is a person who was leaving their body to go to heaven or spirit world gets interrupted by some sort of human attachment to earth, right? And attachment, please know I'm defining that broadly. It can be something traumatic that you can't let go of, or somebody you love so much you can't let go of, or a house you can't let go of, or something that happened on a piece of land that you can't let go of, right? So
they have not gone to the light kind of thing yet.
But I also like to point out they can go any moment they wish, and there are always guides there to help them. They just are it's kind of caught between being human and spirit.
Yeah, some of them seem like they're kind of sleepwalking through the same dream.
Yes. And you can always tell a ghost, and I always say ghost, it's unfortunate sometimes.
We can use ghost here, it's okay.
Thank you. It's unfortunate what pop culture has done regarding ghosts, because it all seems really terrifying and scary and evil and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Really,
they're just people.
99.9% of the time, a ghost is just like a person. It's like a disgruntled or sad or confused human.
Yeah.
Okay, so they can be a pain, or it can be sad, but it's not mean.
Now, so have you talked to ghosts though? I mean, I know that's not what you do with people, but have you talked to, we were thinking about having you go through on a home clearing with us.
Yeah.
Have you done that before? Have you talked to ghosts?
I have. So know that when you have a job like mine, you end up making sense of a lot of stuff in retrospect. I mean, that's one, how you learn about your gifts, in my experience. And it's also how you make sense of a lot of things that have happened. But I've only actually talked to one ghost that I am aware of. Maybe two, that I'm aware of in my life. And luckily for me, the one that I really remember was a child. And the way I knew he was a ghost and not a spirit that had moved on was because he was really wanting me to help him find a gold watch that somebody had stolen from him. So he was really, really sweet, and it was crazy the outfit he had on. He had on like knickers and little boots and like a newsboy cap. So he was clearly from either another place or another time in the United States. And he just kept saying, "Can you help me? Can you help me?" And he would hold out his hands, and there'd be this hologram of a pocket watch, a gold pocket watch. And he said, "They took it from me and I need it." Now, it just felt like his whole life depended on having this watch. Well, the fact that he wanted something that was a possession, that's a solid clue that he's not crossed over.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Because nobody who's crossed over is thinking about that ever. So even though it presented itself as really sweet and I wanted to help him, luckily I knew enough to know, oh, honey, you don't need that watch.
Right.
We just need to do some other things. So that happened. So when that happened, and then I think I was on a walk one time, and this will happen sometimes too, and I walked by a house and I felt somebody walk right up behind my back. Kind of, not menacing, that would be dramatic, but kind of like, hey. And I said in my head, get away from me. Like, just like I would a human who had done that. Right. I mean, keep in mind, if a human did that, I'd be like, get back off.
Yeah, this is total home clearing kind of 101 stuff. Yeah,
so I said,
got that.
Back off. Right. And next thing I know, I could feel him stop and like stand in front of the house he came out in front of. He was just, he's bored, right? He was playing around. He wanted to see. I got the distinct feeling he wanted to see if I knew he was there. And he immediately went away. So to finish answering the question, I'm convinced that when Spirit really wants you, when it's part of your soul plan to do this kind of work, Spirit puts some sort of safety net around your experiences, right? Now that's going to be up to you and what you decided you were willing to go through and all this kind of stuff. And then once you get enough knowledge to know what you're doing, then you set your own contract. Right? Like, I will talk to these people. I won't talk to these people.
Okay, well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about, was about how you came to be a medium. Like, we've talked about it before, about you've got tons of other abilities, but you're a practitioner, definitely stuck to the one thing that you really, I don't know, you tell me you enjoyed the most or whatever, but you're like, I'm a medium, and you just owned it, and
Yeah.
you did an awesome and continue to do an
Thank
awesome
you.
job of it. So why mediumship? I mean, so since there's ghosts out there, and then there's people who've passed on rather, did these people contact you enough that you said, oh, I want to be a medium? I mean, tell me about how did that
Yeah.
happen?
So, well, a couple of things. Well, one, pretty early on, because I had some friends who worked with crossed over spirits, I was like, those people, it's not fun for me. I don't want to spend my entire life trying to talk somebody.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And it's for
yes.
a certain personality. It's just like there's
Right.
some jobs you don't want. I was like, I don't want to spend my days talking somebody into what's best for them.
Right. Well, let's be clear about this. That people, because you said it earlier, and I agree with this totally, that the people who have not crossed over, in other words, the ghosts, they are usually in some sort of traumatic state or dramatic state. They are, or they have a quest or something. The ones that have a quest is one thing, but the ones that are just stuck in some sort of trauma, it's a lot of emotion to deal with them. So I can understand why you were like.
So I basically was like, because I knew that I could set boundaries with spirit on what I was willing and not willing to do, which is always important for people to know. Everybody can do that. I pretty early on said, until further notice, because you can change it, I don't want to talk to any earthbound spirits. I don't want them to bother me. I don't want them around. And then my understanding and my belief system is that I have a spirit team that can keep that out of my world.
Right.
So
it's your affirmation.
Yeah, it's me saying I'm not dealing with that.
You're self-empowered to do that.
Yeah. So I pretty early on said I don't want to talk to them. Okay. I got things to do, and that's not it.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense with your personality. You're like, I don't have time for this.
I know.
I want to have fun, do this, and help people.
Or do where I really feel like I'm giving the biggest service.
Right.
For my skill set, it's going to be a little different for everybody, right? So. I wish that that it had been as easy as saying I'm going to be a medium and that's what I'm going to do, but I think it really is of service to everyone to let you know that I was not at all clear. I knew that I had psychic ability. I knew that I was hearing things. I was learning how to discern what was what and what was from who, and I was working with intuitive coach who happened to be Janet Raftis.
My partner, yes.
Yep,
also.
Who's amazing as an intuitive coach.
Is.
I was working one-on-one with her for I think it was a 4-month basis. One of the best things I ever did. And about 2 or 3 months in, I mean, really close to when I started doing readings, because she had taken me through a bunch of exercises and exposed me to a lot of different avenues and listened to my story and all this stuff. And she said, okay, so if you have clients, because I had pretty much decided I was going to give this a go professionally, which won't be everybody's calling. I just knew it was mine, but I didn't know how, right? She said, okay, when you have a reading, what does that entail? What does the client get from you? And I remember sitting with her, and you guys should know I'm pretty much never speechless, right? Do you know me well enough to know that? Yeah.
I will attest to this, yeah.
I was sitting in her office, and I was speechless. No answer. I was like this.
Why do you think?
Because I was being honest and I was following my gut with, I think that's a really good example of what following your gut is. Following your gut is following a feeling or an intuition without having a backup reason, without having any kind of logical outline making reason, right. Without the details. Like, I'm just supposed to do this and I don't know what's 10 feet in front of me, right? So this is a great example. So she said, well, give me an idea. And in that meeting, I said, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could do, because I was already really excited about past life regression. So I said, I guess I could do past life regression, or I could do astrology, or I could work with cards, or I named like 4 things before I got to mediumship, even though I had experience with deceased people already.
Right.
And she goes, well, just, ruminate on it, get back to me, we'll see what happens. I was like, okay. And so I left not knowing. Well, like from that moment on, for the next month, I got incessant visits from deceased loved ones of people I knew.
And what were they recommending?
Well, just by the sheer fact.
Just by showing up.
Just by showing up. So in other words, either I pre-birth, as a soul, or I and my team or somebody already knew that my entry into this world needed to be, or was decided to be, mediumship. My job was to listen and go along with it. And they were going to provide the mediumship. They were going to provide the people.
They were going to provide the people to come in and fill
so
those.
Within that month, I was like, well, that's funny that I wondered, because pretty much all I've been doing for the last month is talking to dead people. And they have a message for everybody, and every message I give is confirmed. And I want to just note how gently and how beautifully constructed this was, because I would always hear from a deceased loved one of someone whom I knew was open to hearing from them. But it would just be a friend
so that you would be able to
coworker.
go, you'd feel comfortable going to saying what was
so
going on.
I would feel
right.
comfortable going to say it, and then they would confirm. So it was like almost like a month trial run of practicing message.
Oh, that's cool.
Translation. Does that make sense?
That's cool.
Yeah, I know. And then when I decided to do it, of course, I did like another month of free readings with other intuitives, which a lot of us do.
That's important, yeah, to get to you did that to feel good about it and feel confident about it, right?
Psychic work, I think for all of us, is a little bit like language immersion. You just immediately move to like Spain, not knowing one word of Spanish, and then you just have to sit there in Spain and just be like, okay, that means bread, this means hello, this means sleep. I
call it Pictionary. Like you have to build your own Pictionary,
your own lexicon with spirit,
right?
What things mean. So you can only, my experience is I could only learn by experiencing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, I got a doozy for you.
I'm ready.
Did you have a make believe friend when you were a child?
I don't remember. I sincerely don't remember if I did or didn't. So I will tell you this. Here's what I remember as a child, which is kind of weird. I was a known sleepwalker. So my parents would say you walked in your sleep. In retrospect, I wonder if I was sleepwalking or what that really means or what I was doing. But they would find me doing really odd things like back in the day we had encyclopedias, which you don't need anymore, and they'd find me like in my desk like pulling out encyclopedias and slamming them back in. And
that's creepy. That is so creepy. The little blonde girl.
I think it creeps them out.
A through B. A through B.
I think it creeps them out too. But I remember one time I had a vision outside myself. I remember because it was right here. And this is going to sound strange, but
I think the whole thing is, but that's okay.
Probably everything we're saying sounds
after
strange.
taking encyclopedias in and out, I think you're okay.
I think I was sick. I think I had the flu or something, so this is going to seem like a hallucinogenic moment, but I was young. I mean, I was like 6 or 7, and I remember seeing in a little tiny miniature form all the characters from The Wizard of Oz in their scene, like talking to me.
Oh, cool.
I know,
that is weird.
Because like, how could they be? It's not like they're spirits, are they? Or was just spirit using that form to talk to me because I was a kid?
So did you feel like you were psychic? Like going back
I wasn't
in
scared
retrospect,
of
do you
them.
feel like you were psychic as a kid?
No. But here's the thing. I don't know if I think the people who do feel like they were psychic as a kid are the 1%. Like I think most of us didn't have languaging to put to how we felt. So we can say now that that's what it was, but I could have never.
And it wasn't acknowledged by adults either.
No,
so
and it wasn't acknowledged by our culture.
Yeah.
I mean, everything that I was or that I showed aptitude for or that I experienced dramatically was given another reasoning. Like you're just an anxious person, or you're trying to do too many things at once.
You're overly sensitive.
You're overly sensitive. Yeah. So I don't know when I was little, I don't remember any kind of predictive or psychic qualities. I do vividly remember empathic ability. Like I remember knowing how everyone felt and how they were getting along and what their mood was everywhere I went.
Yeah.
So I can see that the most clearly.
Now, I noticed one thing about practitioners, and I'm sure you feel the same or notice the same, is that to be a practitioner, so I believe everyone starts off psychic and kind of shut down and all that, right?
Everybody has an aptitude, I say. Yeah. Kind of like a singing or drawing.
In different abilities.
Yeah.
Different kinds of aptitudes. In different areas. But so there's some sensitivity there. It's usually highly sensitive people that end up doing this feel comfortable enough to do this for a living, right?
It sounds funny when you say it like that.
Highly,
because you're like, we're the highly sensitive ones, and then we're willing to do it.
Yeah. It is a strange thing, right? And so being highly sensitive, it seems like almost all of us highly sensitive people went through some sort of trauma.
Yep.
Do you? I know the trauma I went through. Do you think? Did you go through trauma? If you mind talking about it, and if you did, did that help? Did that steer you towards wanting to help other people?
Okay, so I don't mind talking about anything. Yes, I went through trauma. I feel like it was intended. I feel like trauma, no matter who you are, makes you a more compassionate human on the other side of it. I think it makes you a more empathetic human on the other side of it, whether or not you're empathic or not. So I think anybody who's experienced trauma, no matter what their profession or psychic aptitude, it you feel you are less likely to judge others. You are more likely to understand situations that aren't like your own, that sort of thing. So I think for us, or for myself, I feel like it was designed that I would have a life that was likely to have these traumas. And what I had was, I had a family. I had a alcoholic father, so I had that sort of family. Because anytime you have an alcoholic family, you also have a codependent situation going on.
Yes.
So I had alcoholism and codependence that also comes with a lot of secrecy, a lot of things you're not telling. So that was traumatic. Then my parents divorced, which was really the only option, but then that had involved its own trauma, of course.
Oh, yeah. How old were you when that happened?
24. Pretty old, but I did have two
But still,
younger
it's like
sisters.
you always think we're old, and
Yeah.
then you go back and you get older. You go, wait, I was really young. 24,
Yeah.
still, you weren't living with them, but you were young.
Yeah, and then despite all that trauma, just to show you that you can't think yourself out of becoming an alcoholic, I ended up being an alcoholic, right? So then I recovered. I got sober. So that was a big lesson in,
Yeah, I'm feeling that from that the recovery was so important.
oh, I feel like I came into this life intending to try. I mean, I had a choice. I didn't have to recover.
Right.
Give myself a shot to recover from addiction, because if I was going to get past that, I was going to, one, do something probably my soul wanted to achieve,
Right.
and two, then be more valuable to others. So I feel like I'm more valuable to my clients because I've experienced a lot of really unfortunate
Which
things.
helps heal you at the same time. So you're healing by
Yeah.
healing others. You're healing yourself. You're saying,
Yeah.
I am of value.
There goes the circle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel good
Yeah.
helping people.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to laugh and have fun doing it as
Yeah.
well.
And I also think I have a theory that I kind of just came up with while we were sitting here. Perhaps those of us who are the most sensitive end up doing this work because we're the ones that just can't shake it. Like we can't shake that we're
Can't shake
getting
what?
we can't shake that we're getting input or something else is happening, or we're getting
Right.
Not only are we the most
Yeah.
sensitive according to the cultural terms, but literally the most sensitive nervous system.
It to me is like okay, yeah, thanks for helping me figure out, like, for my partner Janet pretty much trained me, right?
Yeah.
So and so well, like she said, these are coming from other people, these are coming from you, whatever. Well, then once you figure that out, like, okay, that's great, but this still sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you find out, oh, it's the people I'm hanging out with, and
Yeah.
luckily I got to meet people like you,
Yeah.
and people who know, hey, that hurts when you act this way
Yeah.
towards another person.
Yeah.
And you kind of get your stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're at a you feel comfortable in your life where you where are you with how does your trauma fit into your life now? Like where are you put that?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, my dad recently died, so some of that's
I'm sorry.
come back
Yes.
up. Thank you.
Right.
But, I've got a lot of tools. I've got a lot of tools. I've done a lot of work over my life. I also like to plug actual human occupations like therapists and doctors because they're important. Spirit's always telling me, for me and my clients, we love for you to seek spiritual answers, but people aren't on earth by accident. They're there also to help you. So,
Right.
just consider that also a spiritual placement. If
Right.
someone's a healer, they might be a doctor. If someone's a healer, they might be a therapist. So I would never go one way or another. I like the
Right.
balance. So, I've done lots of therapy. I was in rehab twice. I was in a recovery program, or am in a recovery program. I have lots of family members that have learned a more effective way of communicating. So as a group, we've got some pretty good tools, right? So my trauma will always be there and it will always inform part of me, but my life is really great now. Does that answer you? So
Yes.
it's just, I know what to do.
Yes, it doesn't seem like I don't know
Yeah.
if it's this way with you, but I imagine it is. We've talked about some. Is that a lot of the clients we have have experienced a lot of trauma.
Yes.
And so it's nice to look at someone such as yourself and see that I've been through all this stuff.
Yeah.
And now I help people.
Yeah.
because of that trauma.
Yeah. And that happens all the time. I mean, it happens all the time, not just in our field. I mean, you'll see a lot of people who work at rehab centers were clients.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it happens in a lot of scenarios. But it does happen with us.
So tell me about how would people, if they wanted to get a reading from you, what's the best way to contact you?
Website. Really, the only way to contact me.
And we'll tell them what's your website.
leonearth.com. And it's LEAONEARTH.com.
And when's your next group channeling or group
reading? I don't have one on the books right now. So I offer group readings in 2 formats. So I offer private in-home group readings. I have one of those this coming week, and that's written about on my website under services. So if someone wants a private one and they collect the people, I just show up at their house.
Oh, they can work it out.
Yeah,
okay.
They work it out. So that's the kind I mainly do. Occasionally, and I haven't done one in a year, I'll coordinate it, which means I'll find a space, I'll set the time, and I will offer slots to attend it on my website. But it's much more common for people to hire me for private in-home.
Awesome.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'll put Lee's information underneath the video, so it's there to access. But thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
And it's been such a long time. I see Lee twice a week or something.
I know. I've seen them twice already this week, but yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, y'all, for watching.
Bye.
Bye.